wears the number 2. He is a 6'3" defender out of Perth, Scotland. He is Sean Cook. And his partner, congratulations, this guy getting into the league for the very first time. Originally out of Mercer Island, Washington, the 6'8" blocker out of Washington State, wearing the number 1. He is Brian Miller. Let's go, baby. Welcome. And their opponents, your home team, Palm Beach Passion. Oh, we're gonna meet the big fella, but like the not quite as big fella. He's still pretty big though, standing 6 feet 5 inches tall. We welcome him with open arms to the Palm Beach Passion this year out of Honolulu, Hawaii, out of Long Beach State. He is Trevor Crabb. And the big fella, yeah, standing 6 feet 8 inches tall. He is the legend. He is the beast. Here in the league, he wants one more thing in his career, and that is to win a league championship out of nearby Orlando, Florida, and UCF. It's Phil Dahlhauser.
The veterans come in at full strength, but maybe a little symbolism there from Cook and Miller as they were introduced, Cameron Irwin.
It's either let the ponies run or he is currently riding the tailcoats of Sean Cook. I'm not sure which way.
Brian Miller a little under the weather, so it's been a scary, tenuous 24 hours, whether he's going to make the match or not. Maybe hoping to have Sean Cook carry him now along the way. The Clear Street athletes of the Brooklyn Blaze will serve first, and that is Sean Cook out of Perth, Scotland, and the University of Bath. Two men with very unique paths to arrive in this, the AVP League Championship chase in 2025. They'll serve first to Trevor Crabb, and he will uncharacteristically kind of swat one.
He just slaps. That's what he does. He gets up there and just finds the sand, so calculated on his attacks. Honestly, one of the athletes that creates the fewest errors, and that's why you see him winning match after match after match. Love that he's playing with Phil Dahlhauser this year.
Grew up in Hawaii playing, and then moved himself to basketball for one season up at Puget Sound before going back to Long Beach State from 2009 to 2013. Trevor Crabb.
I wonder if there was any crossover on the basketball between Miller and Crabb, both up at universities in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, one being D2, one being D1.
Darn.
Yeah.
I was hopeful.
Yeah, an unconventional path for sure for them. A unconventional path for this man as well. Did not come up in the traditional Southern California region, was not one of the smaller players. Phil, kind of a trailblazer for those who were 6'9", 6'10". Feels like he brought some of the bigger players into the league. Being a Florida native, it was a little bit of a winding road as Phil has that one go back the other way through his hands, and it's a side out from Brooklyn.
Yeah, and Phil has pretty much said the same thing, that he's just so happy that a path was created for athletes that you didn't have to play indoor to make it on the AVP, that you could just grind and continue to try and get into those qualifiers and then get into a qualifier for, how about the AVP League, just like Cook and Miller.
They had to kind of wait it out. They'd made both finals. There were 3 qualifiers. You had to win one of the first 2 if you wanted in, and then the third one was done on points. They would get to the finals, and they were looking pretty good on points until they lost immediately in Huntington Beach in the final event and had to wait out a bunch of other matches, just kind of sweat it out to see if they were going to make the league. In the end, the points fell their way, and they will find themselves playing all season long from here to Chicago. Dahlhauser with the reception. A little extension and too much as it's wide, and Brian celebrates.
Brian Miller, we caught up with him and just talked about some of the goals for this team. And he said, well, the first goal was getting into the AVP League. But I love what he said next, which is now the goal is to get to Chicago.
And he gets a block there. He does like the fire. You hear the barking cadence of his partner, Sean Cook. He's the loudest player on tour.
Absolutely. He's a dog. Love that move from Miller. Watch a little film on him coming into this matchup, and that was one of the things that stood out. His ability to block outside of his midline as a blocker really tries to force those hands to the right and left when need be. It's another good look. He doesn't get a piece there, but he covers the entire angle. Shows that he's going to go straight up and then just dives with those hands.
Phil Dalhausser, 103 career wins. He won at least one FIVB title for 13 straight years. At least one. That's not just one. Team of the year and, of course, gold medalist in 2008 alongside Todd Rogers. A first ballot Hall of Famer who doesn't get to the net that time as Brian Miller comes up with the kill. Miller a little bit odder path to the whole thing. Grew up on Mercer Island in Washington. So there are a couple of courts just down the way. He'd go and play. His dad had picked up volleyball late in life, and he passed along that love of the game to his 3 kids. A little slap there. Here's an opportunity for Cook. Double block!
I formation works every time.
All you have to do is see it and chip it. There's nobody around. Everybody's staying at the net.
I just love Sean Cook immediately looks to the other side. He goes, no, that hit tape. That wasn't a block.
Still counts.
So that's not a monster block. That's like, what? What's beyond a monster block when you got 4 hands up there?
And the most active and talkative player in the game had a little something for him there, Trevor Crabb. He of infamy from last year, perhaps. Chase Budinger and Trevor Crabb providing one of the more signature moments of the year. A little physical contact at one point.
How about AVP history?
Yeah, might be. 7-5, early lead for Brooklyn. Palm Beach Passion, kind of a tough road last year, going 1-7 did Phil Dalhausser alongside Avery Drost. And that one is smoothly put away by the Thin Beast slash Beijing Beast slash I don't like that nickname, says Phil. Elder statesman of the game at this point, and gone on to teaching the game, not only to his partners, but also to youngsters in the Florida area. Miller, good pass. And he'll rip it, but not get over the top of it.
2 of the most experienced athletes on the AVP league. That's Phil Dalhausser playing alongside Trevor Crabb. But what's interesting is that they're not experienced together. So even though you think, hey, these guys have been around forever, they've got all the skill set, they are still trying to iron out some of those wrinkles. How's their team going to function? What does the set look like? Good news is they're both phenomenal setters, but there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve.
Still working on Miller. Everyone knows he's had a little bit of health issues. Here's Phil, keeping it alive. They'll put Miller deep, making him work. See how much energy he has in the tank. Answer right now, not quite enough, as a back-to-back miss has Palm Beach with an 8-7 switch. Phil Dalhausser, Trevor Crabb, new partnership, off to a decent start here in set number 1 of 2025 AVP League play on CBS Sports Network. Delray Beach Tennis Center in Palm Beach, Florida. The fans enjoying a late Friday night. Conclusion to our action. It is set one of the men, Palm Beach versus Brooklyn. Palm Beach with the slight advantage. And we welcome you, our audience, back in. Kevin Barnett alongside Cameron Irwin. We've been perched above Delray Tennis Center here for quite some time. Cam, very interesting opportunity for Brian Miller joining the game. He's an engineer, and he kind of carries that mindset with him, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. And he says he can have a tendency to sometimes overthink things. I asked him, well, how do you go against that? He goes, I have to tell myself, well, stop thinking. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. They have the advantage against a very solid team in Phil Dahlhauser and Trevor Crabb. And he has to maintain that mentality. He's, like you said, a little under the weather, but I've been impressed with his blocking and his attacking. One adjustment on the other side, though, for the Palm Beach Passion is that Miller does like to attack a little bit more in where he's facing. I'll be curious to see if they front that with the block of Phil Dahlhauser or let Trevor Crabb go to work defensively. But I think you can get a pretty good read on him.
If you saw peak Phil Dahlhauser in your lifetime, you saw the best player in the history of the game. He's the best on the small court, the big court, the baby court, and federal court. Any court you can dream up, that man would dominate you and your friends in volleyball. So don't say otherwise, no matter what age you are, no matter when you played. He's got you covered. 4-time AVP MVP. You look at that match winning percentage, a gold medal, and 4 Olympic appearances to go with it. This man has been outstanding throughout a storied career that will conclude after this season. Let's go down to Casey Patterson with the coach for the Palm Beach Passion.
Yeah, Kev, I 100% agree with you. He is the most dominant player that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was just talking to their coach, Matt Heath, who used to play on the AVP. They are the old school Myrtle Beach days when Phil and Nick were training together, and it was Matt and Adam Roberts. And he's like, we used to call them the kids. And he's like, funny thing is, Phil never even used to hand set in transition. He would bump set. He's like, and it went from them winning, or, Matt and Adam beating Phil and Nick 80% of the time, and the next year it completely flipped. Then I think that same next summer they won their first event ever, and then from then he's like, I never saw him again. They just took off into the skies.
Certainly did. And Phil Dahlhauser told us, he said, listen, I knew when Nick and I beat Karch and Lambeau, Dax and Stein, then Blanton and Nygaard, the top teams in the 2004 Hermosa Open, when they ran through those clubs, he said he knew that this could really be something.
He said it himself. He felt destined to play volleyball, and it has truly come to fruition. 23 seasons in. I feel like we're going to need to start like an accolade off at some point, like who can come up with the most unique Phil Dahlhauser accolade throughout the season, because we're going to be talking about him every single time we get a chance to see the Palm Beach Passion.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting volleyball journey for Phil, as well as a personal journey as he has grown from the young upstart into the veteran dad and a man with a lot of other responsibilities, and now the transition out of the game. But he's not gone yet, and he can still make plays. Here it's an on-2, dug up, and then put down. Nice little chip shot by Sean Cook, who's looking to make his mark at 32 years old now, 6'3", native of Scotland, who just missed the Olympics on the indoor side for Team GB back in 2012.
It's nice to see Sean Cook back in the AVP League as well. Last season, he played alongside Cody Caldwell. This year, coming in with a new partner and having to qualify in really speaks to his development as a defender. Even though he just missed one there. I was setting you up perfectly, Sean. Come on.
9-9, set 1. Sets to 15, win by 2, best 2 of 3. The King Crab hat, the Slunks clad and Slunks sponsored, Trevor Crabb. He's back to serve. Working on Miller. Oh, look at the knuckle poke he set on purpose.
Because a jump set isn't already hard enough. Why not do it one-handed? Totally got Phil Dahlhauser. That's where the jump set is really coming into the beach volleyball game. Over the last 5 years or so, you're starting to see athletes just get more dynamic and try and bait those blockers into big moves.
Sean Cook, do yourself a favor. Get you one of those photo frames that you can play video on as that ball is chipped out of bounds, missed by Miller. Get one of those photo frames. Get a video clip of that play and just let it loop in your living room, all right? Just let it go. 10-10, 7 ties, 3 lead changes in this closely contested set number 1. If you were with us earlier, Brooklyn on the women's side came out with the victory 15-13 over the Palm Beach Passion. That perhaps a surprise. Denneberg and Donlin defeating Humana Paredes and Wilkerson as that ball is missed. Boy, if you take back a couple of mistakes here from the Blaze, they might be leading substantially.
Looks like they're trying to really utilize that option, and maybe to their detriment at this point. Forcing that last one, didn't quite get the serve receive they needed to be able to execute. I was wondering coming into this whether Sean was going to be able to ruffle the feathers of Trevor Crabb. So far, Crabb has been cool, calm, and collected, letting his play do the work.
Do you think people can get to him, or is he just getting to other people?
I think that's a good question. He's pretty good at getting after other people. And after that attack as well. And that's one of the nice marks for Phil in terms of this partnership. He actually spoke about Trevor Crabb and just how he can kind of loosen him up a little bit, have some fun. He's got all these fun side remarks that he might say under his breath, and it really brings joy and fun to the court for Phil.
Yeah, partnership came together because Trevor really wasn't sure, as Cook puts that one away expertly, what he was going to do in 2024. Trevor Crabb, that he mentioned that to Phil at another event last year, and Phil just said to him, well, I'll run it with you if you don't want to do much international play. Trevor said, well, I'm not really into international play. Let me think about it.
No.
Yeah, that's Trevor's words. Let me think about it. And then he got back to Phil. That is the wrong answer.
I feel like we need to fact check that. I don't know if that's true.
If Phil Dalhausser says, I'll run some games with you, it doesn't matter if it's in the afternoon that day or for an entire AVP season, you just say yes.
Yeah, again, I'm going to have to double check that with Trevor. I feel like we're going to have a different response.
No, you have to check that with Phil because Trevor is on social media saying as much. 13-12, Palm Beach, slight advantage. Phil at the line. Will he do some Phil things? Down the middle. Miller will take it, and Phil will be right there. Clutch play.
Phil's hands might have been one in front of the other as he went up for that block. Just tried to reach as high as he could. Gets him to a set point.
Set point, Palm Beach. Aggressive jump serve down the middle. Where do you go? Do you try and find an angle if you're Phil? Same serve. Miller v. Dalhausser. That ball is up. Phil to the edge. Got to be careful with the cheese graters. Don't run into those at any high speed. Set point number 2. Good little distance here. All they have to do is side out for it.
I think Phil got caught in the decision making there. I think he knew it was going to be a heavy angle, but he didn't quite trust his block enough to get after it. That's why he had that left hand on. I think he had the right read, but just didn't make the move.
Timeout called by Brooklyn. They'll think about it with Palm Beach on their second set point opportunity. We're going to give you an opportunity to watch a lot of volleyball this summer, but that is not the only thing happening on CBS Sports Network. The WNBA is back. Catch the #1 overall pick, Paige Buchers, and the Dallas Wings taking on the Atlanta Dream. Don't miss tip-off tomorrow at 3 Eastern. We'll be with you on Fridays throughout most of the summer, some Saturdays. We have so much volleyball planned. We have a lot of fantastic places we're going to go. And we're off to an outstanding start. We've had a lot of competitive volleyball tonight, including this set.
Absolutely. You know what I'm most looking forward to this 2025 AVP League season is the locations, the fans, everyone getting behind the new format. It's been so fun to see from one stop to the next last season, and that's going to carry over. There's only going to be more fun right here on the AVP League. I mean, how could it not be fun when you got dollar beers?
Remember, there's a league championship at stake. We're going to take 6 individual teams, and they will get there on their own individual records this year to the AVP championships in Chicago. Our final event, August 30th and 31st. 6 teams will show up. It'll be single elimination. No chance to come back, no bad matches, no slow starts. You have to be at your top if you're going to be the league champion on the individual side or the team side. Now, AVP League Cup, on the other hand, is a regular season title similar to the Constructors Championship in F1, and that will be done on the city's combined record between their men's and women's groups.
Who do you think's going to take the cup?
That's a great
Early
call.
predictions, Kevin Barnett.
Who do I think is the strongest?
City franchise.
Can I reserve judgment? Can I get a little more information next event in San Diego?
How many years you been calling the AVP? Isn't that enough reserve judgment?
We have all this new young talent. We've talked about how many rookies there are in the league. Not sure what to do with them all. Honestly, I'm expecting big things from Palm Beach.
It's fair. And
The
then
silver
their women
medalists?
just took their women just took a loss today.
They did, but 5-3
I'm
last year.
I'm not betting against them
I think
either.
this partnership's going to be excellent as well.
I would agree with that.
They can do it right here. Set point opportunity. Trevor with the dig. Phil, not enough horses. Not for lack of effort. We're tied at 14. Play to 15, win by 2. No cap on any of these sets. Cook to Crab. The Langle call is good.
Well, that was a Langle attack as well, hitting the high seam. Splitting the difference between the line and angle, and also with a little bit more depth. That's one of the trademark moves of Trevor Crab.
Third set point. High ball set and hit long. Were it not for some errors, Brooklyn had a really nice first set against Palm Beach, but they come up on the losing side 16-14. The opening match of this brand new partnership between Phil Dahlhauser and Trevor Crab results in a deuce point win. Phil doing some Phil things and closing down the net. He has ruled that space for some time. Can he rule it for one more set and close the Friday night here in Palm Beach? Our crew always enjoys getting out and seeing the local sights wherever we are. Here in Palm Beach is the Captain Clay and Sons Seafood Market. Get yourself a little treat down there. Our crew hopefully did get a chance to eat something while they were there. The smoked seafood dip, their signature item, of course, pulling things fresh out of the ocean and serving to their customers here in Florida. We're serving you the best beach volleyball players on the planet all summer long, including a 1-set-to-none lead here by Palm Beach. What was the defining statistic in that first set between Palm Beach and Brooklyn? Cameron Irwin.
I started talking about Trevor Crabb and talked about how he's usually pretty errorless. Well, on the side of Palm Beach Passion, just 2 hitting errors. Collective on the opposition for Brooklyn Blaze, 7 in total. That is half of the set.
That is not an error, that is just dominance. Phil Dahlhauser.
I think that does count as a hitting error, actually. Regardless, it's another stat for Phil Dahlhauser.
Is it your fault Phil is good?
Or that you just couldn't see him.
He was not there, and then he was. And a serve to follow it up. So right away, Palm Beach on the aggression. Trevor Crabb has quietly become one of the pillars of Manhattan Beach. 4-time champion, 19, 21, 22, and 24. Lost to his brother in the finals in 23. Has 9 Heritage event victories as Phil picks up another stuff. Back-to-back blocks for Phil Dahlhauser, who has 63 AVP Heritage titles.
Add another accolade. Found a new one.
Yeah, but what? For 10 years, Trevor Crabb hasn't reached at least a semifinal. How about that? It was never Trevor for a long time. People thinking he would not come up with a victory. Just kept grinding in that black hat.
He eclipsed the plateau, and now it's become a legend. Phil Dahlhauser already with 3 total blocks.
(3-1) second set. Nice dig by Cook. Oh, the chip is no good. Another hitting error. 8 now.
And that's tough. You got Phil pulling off the net, trying to beat him short, but just unable to find the correct contact. And that ball's coming over the top of Sean Cook's head, so vision can be a little bit dicey when you're having to track that ball over the left shoulder.
Clear Street helping to get these 2 athletes here representing Brooklyn. We'll have 4 teams each week, including the home side, wherever we are. Phil played that up himself. That ball getting a little bit tight again. Here's Trevor. Dig and turn.
Call that man Picasso, a work of art. The paintbrush to the hanging gooseneck for Trevor Crabb. Here's the little paintbrush to get over. That ball's got backspin on it. Finds the long platform, turns it. And a beautiful cut from the left side.
For a guy who's so big and physical as Trevor Crabb can be, I'm surprised the number of times he's just carving you up. Short serve ace. When we say Phil is doing Phil things, those are many things.
It's a great call by you, actually. Not only is he a fantastic setter, which we spoke about earlier in this matchup, but the service pressure, the blocking, the setting, the attacking, I mean, you name it.
7-time world's best setter. Shows you he can get it done from the service line as well as he sneaks that one over the tape and into the score sheet, and a 6-1 lead for the Palm Beach Passion. Timeout called by the Brooklyn Blade. We told you that there's WNBA coming. There's a lot more volleyball coming, as well as the CONCACAF Women's Championship Cup Final. It is here. Football phenoms taking the pitch. Don't miss the fight for the title. Coverage begins tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern, right here on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount+. What a great time to be a fan of sport and have an opportunity to enjoy CBS Sports Network and what they're offering you in terms of breadth and passion and excellence. And we have the passion here. They have outscored the Blades 13-5 since the 10-point mark of set number 1, Cameron Irwin.
Yeah, it's somewhat starting to unravel on the side of the Brooklyn Blaze. Again, Brian Miller just kind of having to deal with not only an illness, but facing off against a very, very tough team. And when we spoke to him and asked him kind of how are the nerves when you first step out, your first big league event, he goes, you know, I've been along this journey and it's very windy. And oftentimes when you qualify into the main draw, it's tough because you got to face somebody like a Phil Dahlhauser first round. And who does he get for his first matchup in league play? Well, Phil Dahlhauser.
And he still has Phil at the line. He'll give him another float serve. Phil will take the line. Good touch there. Calls for Trevor. Option. Trevor's there again. Smooth move. It was the angle last time. Here he swings. Middle for the winner.
So many pretty things in that rally. The dig, the set, you name it. They're having to play some defense as that free ball is sent over the net, but I love the recovery here from Trevor Crabb, really working towards that left sideline. Perfect set from his partner. And you can see the enthusiasm from Phil Dahlhauser, loving that his partner is in the right spot at the right time.
They haven't spent a ton of time together, but Phil said they both were really good setters, so they're able to dial it in pretty quickly and keep each other comfortable offensively. That's paying dividends here, 7-2. Finally a good side out for Brooklyn.
And talking to Phil, too, about why Trevor was a good partner for him, not only is it from a mentality and a lightness standpoint, but also he said every time he turns around in Huntington Beach, he just felt like Trevor was in the right place the right time. He just has a knack for playing defense and knows where to be.
A baby court feel for the game. A lifetime of experience playing. Phil, did he get enough? Yes, he did. That one will clear off the sand here at the Delray Beach Tennis Center.
Jamison McKibben is getting cooked right now.
Side switch comes at 8-2. Palm Beach, dominant control. As a little something is said on the side switch. Clarification coming and adjustments needed for Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, we're a new partnership too, so you know, the first couple events we're still learning the ropes a little bit. You know, he's from a different country. I'm from a different part of the U.S. than where he is, so a lot of logistics that are different that we were able to overcome, and we barely squeaked in. the, you know, a couple points here or there, things might be different. So, yeah, we're fortunate to be here.
Not alone is Brian Miller in this maiden voyage into the 2025 AVP League Championship chase. A number of rookies expected to play big roles here. We've turned over a substantial amount of the field from season 1.
And it really speaks to just the development of the AVP League and also how tough it is to get into the AVP League. Some of those qualifier events, I spoke to athletes and they were saying they had never felt more nerves than in a qualifier compared to some of those semifinals they might be facing often in a stadium court appearance. So it's definitely a tough thing to get into, and it really pushes you to the limit, especially considering you got to win big and you got to win the entire time.
So we will see how those rookies perform as we look at the Brooklyn Blaze right before the break. This was how we went to the side switch, trying to run that ball down, and then, yeah, over the top of McKibben there, tell him to get out of the way.
The best part is these two guys are really good friends, so let me reiterate that. That's Jamison McKibben, who is dying laughing.
Who's curled in a ball but laughing?
He might still be sitting in the fetal position.
Well, some of that fire needs to come out for Brooklyn here in this second set. Some costly mistakes. They still trail 1-0 and are down early, 8-2. That middle attack for Miller is good. Still fighting the flu. Told him it was time for an MJ moment here. Fight through the flu and be at his best.
That makes for double-digit kills now for Brian Miller. The only tough part of that is he's also has 7 errors to match.
As it should be. If you find out your opponent is not feeling well, you should see every serve. Palm Beach sees that ball go long. Phil, right side, trying to drop it short, just wide. Miller lays off it. We have a pretty good perspective on it, some argument.
Phil's been known to impart his will on a referee or two.
Well, Phil's not going to be the demonstrative one usually.
No.
That's what he had Nick for. Nick was the attack dog.
It's usually just a sly comment coming in, or just like, hey, you noticed that, right? You owe me one.
Error that time from Palm Beach. All of a sudden, Brooklyn with a couple of points, looking to get right back in this second set. Phil was talking about his many partners throughout the years and kind of what he's taken from him or what the experience has been like. He said, yeah, Nick could just be a crazy person sometimes. So there was one play where Nick argued with the referee, didn't like the call, as that is a smooth side out from Palm Beach. Nick did not like anything about the call, about the play. So the very next play, Nick goes to attack and just turns the ball and wails it at the up official. Doesn't even try.
Did it make contact? I don't know if that's sorry.
Phil said.
I mean,
Phil said
that's
he's
really
glad
bad.
it didn't, because he looked at Nick and he was like, "What if you hit that guy and he fell off the stand?" Nick said, "Well, not my best moment."
They had some pretty good moments together, though, didn't they?
Some amazing moments,
Nick
right?
Lucena, of course, is who we're referring to.
First victory, 2005 in Austin as a pair, a very special thing for them, for East Coast guys. Getting out there and taking a W in a West Coast sport. There's another error, this time from the service line for Brooklyn.
And how great is it that Phil is also now has his own academy to continue to grow beach volleyball on the East Coast?
Absolutely. Right now, about 3 days a week, putting about 60 to 80 kids through the Phil Dalhouser Beach Volleyball Academy. They're adding some courts this year. You're going to have 4 new courts. They're going to accelerate to a full beach volleyball club. He said, because that's what the parents want. Everybody expects that, and they're going to get the best training from that big block of Phil Dalhouser, the best man to ever do it.
Building facilities and building a roof over that one. Yet again, the high reach. This guy is 6'8", maybe 6'9", and arms completely over the height of the net.
Maybe we'll have to change the name of the monster block to the Phil Dalhouser Monster Block.
Oh, it's sponsored? I like that.
That one just underneath the left elbow of Phil.
Sean Cook adding an extra sound effect on to that attack. When I was younger, one of my coaches told me that if you grunt when you hit, you actually hit 10% harder. To this day, do not know if that's true, but we're sticking with it.
I'll buy into it. I'm buying what you're selling.
Works for tennis.
12-7. Ask Monica Seles. Ball finds the back line. Precision strike from Trevor Crabb. Solid control here. 13-7. Palm Beach looking to close it out. This reminiscent of our first match of the night, where we watched the Dallas Dream, Benish and Partain come out with a tough first set victory and then dominate the second. Crabb and Dahlhauser, very much the same story to end the night. The bookends to our first evening of play. We'll be back tomorrow night with 4 more matches.
So right move there from Sean Cook. Walks away with a point, but off of a beautiful cut shot. Recognizes the somewhat delayed line block of Phil Dahlhauser and drops that in front of the defense. Great contact off the hand.
Speaking of Benish and Partain, as Phil sides out there quite easily. Phil said, I feel like they play their best volleyball on the AVP. They have another gear. And Phil will get a look at that in person tomorrow. Passion versus Dream. Match ball. Phil for the win. Got it!
A perfect finish for Phil Dahlhauser in front of his home crowd for the Palm Beach Passion.
Perhaps as it should be. The legend doing work to finish it. Made some plays at the end of the first set. Came back and finished the second set and the match in fine fashion. 15-8, saluting the home fans, and we'll be back to Palm Beach momentarily. Try and get a word with Phil and Trevor. There's a smile that Jen wanted a little bit of enthusiasm. They win 2-0. AVP League is brought to you by Wilson, the official ball of the AVP. By Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, let the good times cruise. And by StubHub, the official ticketing partner of the AVP. In the first match of his final season, the legend Phil Dalhausser comes out with a victory, making plays and making it look easy at the end. 15-8 in the second set. He and partner Trevor Crabb are 1-0 on the season. On the other side, the Brooklyn Blaze came out with a nice victory on the women's side. Congratulations to Julia Donlin and Lexi Denneberg for their debut on the AVP League season. For my partner, Cameron Irwin, and Casey Patterson, our entire crew, I'm Kevin Barnett. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.